because I was like, how am I supposed to be feeling? It was so messy. Hey, how's it going? My name is Gabby. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to day 3 of Winterween. This is going to be the second Winterween vlog that I've posted so far, so if you missed the first 2 days, I will have it linked down below. And if you don't know what Winterween is a spooky readathon that I love to host in the month of January. I will also include the announcement video linked down below if you missed that. But anyway, it is the morning of day 3 of Winterween. It's a lovely Sunday morning right now, and I think I decided that this morning I really want to go out to a local coffee shop and like get some food for breakfast, and then maybe start reading my next book, which I think I've decided I want to read the Colleen Hoover arc next, Woman Down, because on the day that I'm uploading this video, which is hopefully going to be on Tuesday the 13th, this book should be publishing on that day. So I thought it would be the perfect time for me to, read this one and review it so that by the time it comes out, you'll know whether or not it's something that I would recommend. I have enjoyed thrillers from Colleen Hoover in the past. I had a lot of fun with the book Verity, and so I've been so curious to read this one, but I am going to bring a few other books with me to the coffee shop just in case I absolutely hate this and don't want to read it today. And as an update on last night, I didn't end up watching any more Supernatural last night because my mom ended up having an early night and I'm watching it with her, so I will not be watching any Supernatural without my mom. And so instead, I ended up watching 3 episodes of His and Hers, which is that new thriller show that just came out on Netflix. I've been really highly anticipating this show because of how much I love the book by Alice Feeney. And I also just really love John Bernthal, like the actor that's in the show. Like, I adore him. And so I watched the first 3 episodes, and I think there's 6 episodes total. And so far, I feel like it's going just okay. Like, I don't know, I really liked the first episode, but then I thought episodes 2 and 3 were kind of slow, but I still think I want to finish these episodes at some point because there's only 3 left. And I remember the book being like super twisty at the end, and I can't remember the twist off the top of my head, so I feel like the show is going to really surprise me. And then also last night, oh my gosh, I was so influenced by my Patreon because yesterday when I was doing Patreon reading sprints, everybody was talking about this game on the Nintendo Switch that's called Tiny Bookshop. I'm not a huge video game person, and like I haven't even played my Nintendo Switch in like probably over a year. I couldn't even find it after I moved into this house. Like, I was like looking under my bed last night and I was looking under the TV and I found my Switch and I decided to download this game called Tiny Bookshop. It was only $20 on the Nintendo store, and I was playing this for like nearly 2 hours last night. It was just so relaxing. It was like the perfect thing to end my day. And if you've never played this Tiny Bookshop before, it is the cutest game and like so perfect for like bookish people, because on the game you are playing a bookseller who like owns this cute little truck that you can drive around. It's like a little bookshop that's in the back of your truck. You can redecorate your little bookstore. You can like paint it if you want to. It's all taking place in this little like seaside town, and it's so cute because you can select different areas in the town that you want to sell your books at that day. You get to decide like which genres you're stocking on your shelves. It's so cute because as the customers are like walking into your bookstore and they're adding books to their cart, you can see which genres are like selling the most. And the thing I love the most is that some customers will like ask you for a specific book recommendation, and then you have to scroll through the bookshelves and you get to see like every book that's actually on your bookshelves, and you get to recommend them something. It is something that you could, play while you're listening to an audiobook, which is something that I do really love about any games. So that was a really great recommendation from my Patreon. I think that game is so cute, and I really do want to get back into playing on my Switch this year because it is so relaxing at the end of the night to just like pop in an audiobook and play on the Switch. So if you're watching this and you have any like Switch game recommendations that you think I might really enjoy that are kind of more on the cozy side, like something that I could play while I'm listening to an audiobook, then please, I am all ears. I would love any recommendations. But anyway, let's get started on day 3 of Winterween. I'm gonna head out to my coffee shop and I'm gonna get started on the new Colleen Hoover.
Is finding me. There's no love under the portrait. Ain't got no loyalties, no one to please. I just got that glue. With more than ever leave, setting my soul free.
Hey, hello, it is nearly 1 o'clock in the afternoon and I just left the coffee shop and I was able to read so much while I was sitting in that coffee shop. I got 128 pages into Woman Down. This book is just so readable. It was so easy to get into and I'm already like so hooked into the story. And this one is actually turning out to be a little bit more of a romantic suspense than I was expecting, because I kind of went into this thinking it was only going to be a thriller, but there is a lot of romance in this book too. I thought it was really interesting at the start of this because it actually started with a note from the author, and in the author's note at the start she said says, please keep in mind that while writers do take from their own lives and some of the themes may mirror my own life in ways, this is in no way a replica of my journey or my morals, nor is it a reflection of how I feel about my peers and or the industry. She said, please, I beg of you, do not try to make ties to my personal life in this story, as there are none. I'm just a writer writing about a writer. And at the start of reading this book, I was wondering like why she would feel the need to even say that, because I'm like, of course, you know, like books are just fiction, like they're not going to be connected to your personal life. But now after I'm getting into this book, I can definitely see why she felt like she needed to make that clarification, because in this story, we're following this woman who is an author and she's gotten really, really successful. And then it says that she faces viral backlash over her latest film adaptation that forced her to take a hiatus. I mean, I can see how there are definitely some crossovers there with like Colleen Hoover, you know, especially after the whole drama with like It Ends With Us and like that adaptation came out, and how Colleen Hoover herself hasn't published a book in like 3 years. I mean, I definitely do see some crossover there with her character and, you know, Colleen Hoover's story. I think there's a lot of talk in this book about what it's like to be an author that became so successful, with quotes like this when she says, it's a cruel irony, isn't it? One person's dream of widespread recognition can so easily become another's nightmare. I do think there is some truth to this, you know, when she's talking about writing, when she says, when I first began writing, I did it purely for fun. It was a need, something I could escape to when my real life got hectic. It was exciting and readers were excited. I write about anything I felt like writing about. 43 books later, my name was out there and bills were getting paid and life was good. I felt like I was on top of the world. Unfortunately, gravity pulls everyone back down again, and boy did I fall hard. It was like someone sliced a hole in my parachute and threw my fall on live television for the entire world to see. So I do see how Colleen Hoover could have been, you know, like inspired by her own experiences to write about this character to some level, in some extent. Like she does understand what it's like to be in the eyes of the public, and to go from being an author that's like really loved and really popular to being like so heavily criticized. There was like a really interesting conversation that this main character was having with her best friend Nora, who's also another writer, and they were talking about writing fiction, and she said, we write fiction for entertainment. I don't understand how and when the fun got flipped on its head. You wrote a book and that should be praised. Hell, you've written dozens of books, fun, entertaining, sometimes emotional books. Why has the backlash gotten so severe for authors when a reader doesn't agree with them or hates their book or their adaptation? It's a book, it's a movie, it's not brain surgery. We aren't saving lives. I think this conversation is like really interesting, but it also does feel a little bit on the nose. Like it kind of feels like an author trying to defend themselves by being like, it's not that serious, it's not that deep. Because then they go on to have this whole conversation about like writing what you know, and how people will tell you like you should only be writing about experiences that you know or experiences that you've had. They said we could describe emotions and reactions better if we lived through each situation we ever write about, but how boring would books be if all authors did was write the things they've experienced and felt? I'm not here to write a biography. I do this to use my imagination. It's as much of an escape for us as it is for you. I mean, don't get me wrong, like I do love books that follow writers, and I love hearing about writers talking about their writing process and like having these kinds of conversations, but I also do feel like at times this feels like Colleen Hoover like trying to get her message across. And it's not even that I disagree with the message, because like I agree with what she's saying. Like I feel like people should be able to write for entertainment purposes, and I don't necessarily think authors need to have like the lived experiences in order to write about them, because I do think so much about writing is like using your imagination. But yeah, there have been a lot of conversations like that about writing in this book. I do think the writing style in this book has that addictive quality to it, probably in the same way that people would describe like Frida McFadden's thrillers, even though I personally think Colleen Hoover's writing is a lot better than Frida McFadden's. I don't know if that's a hot take, because I know people who don't like Frida McFadden would probably also shit on Colleen Hoover like in the same breath, but I do think Colleen Hoover's writing in general just works a lot more for me, even though we do get some like awkward, clunky writing moments, like when this character uses the word hangry and she says, I've harumphed my way through the last 8 hours I've been in this cabin. Like harumphed? Some of the word choices feel very random, and like, no, this is not the best book that I've ever read, but this story has been so gripping so far and so engaging, like I can't put it down, and I'm just like tearing through the pages. God, I've been talking for 10 minutes and I haven't even really told you what this book is about. So as I mentioned, we're following this woman named Petra Rose, and she's an author, and she basically got canceled by the public and the media over her last film adaptation, and now she's been stuck trying to write her next book for the last like 18 months. She's been dealing with some severe writer's block, and so at the start of this book, she decides to go to this like lakeside cabin because she wants to go away on a retreat by herself, try to find the inspiration to write again, and she's still kind of feeling stuck. And then it says, then he shows up. So we have this guy who's a detective, and his name is Nathaniel Saint, and he arrives at her place very early in the morning one day to let her know about something that just happened right outside of her cabin, but she is immediately smitten with this guy. He reminds her a lot of the character that she's writing about in her book, so it's almost like she decides to start using him as the muse for what she's writing. And like, when I tell you, this book is getting messy. Oh my god, it is so messy. I feel like this is a book that's that's gonna ruffle some feathers because I could see a lot of people like not being cool with this. But so far, I am finding it to be very entertaining. I mean, like I said, it's kind of hard to put down. Like, I can't wait to see where the story's going. I'm gonna be heading back to the house. I need to go by the store before heading back to the house because we just have a few little things that I need to pick up. And then after that, I think I need to wash my hair because it's been a second and it feels like it desperately needs it. And then later tonight, I'm actually gonna be having a movie night on my Patreon for the new movie People We Meet on Vacation, which I'm so excited for because this is like a rom-com movie that just came out on Netflix. And it's an adaptation from one of my favorite Emily Henry books. And so I've been dying to watch this. I've been hearing really good things actually from everybody who has watched it. So I'm gonna be watching that with my Patreon later this afternoon around 4. So we'll see if I can finish my book before the movie night, but if not, I'll definitely be finishing this book tonight because like I need to know. Okay, hello, I wanted to check in with another update because it is just after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I got home about an hour and a half ago and I've just been laying in bed and I just finished reading Woman Down by Colleen Hoover. I absolutely tore through this book this afternoon. Like, it's been a long time since I've been able to read a book this quickly. I mean, granted, this book is only like 294 pages, so it is on the shorter side, but like still, I am really surprised by how quickly I was able to get through this book. And I do have a lot of mixed feelings on this one. I think I enjoyed the first half of the book a little bit more than the second half. I mean, as I was saying earlier, you know, this one is a romantic suspense, and it was a little bit more heavy on the romance than I was anticipating, but this particular romance was so messy, and in fact, it even got more messy as the book was going on, and I was like so conflicted because I was like, how am I supposed to be feeling? Like, am I supposed to be rooting for this? Because I don't think I am, but then I was also confused because I was like, if I'm not supposed to be rooting for this romance, then why are there so many sex scenes? This book was just not exactly what I was expecting. I mean, I feel like as far as the, you know, like thriller and suspense elements of this book goes, I thought that they were okay. I mean, there was definitely a quote-unquote twist about like 2/3 of the way through the book that I personally thought that was so predictable and like very obvious. I mean, luckily that wasn't the only like shocking thing. Like, there was something at the very end of the book that did surprise me that I didn't see coming, but I just don't really know how I feel about the story overall. I do think this girl, Petra Rose, like, she could be a little bit of a difficult character to follow at times because I do think at times she could be a little bit like hypocritical or a little bit nasty, but I also did feel sympathy for her in some ways. But Petra in general, like, she is not a very good person, and so I think this is going to be a hard one for a lot of readers, especially because I feel like there's a lot of content in this book that people are not going to be okay with. So I'm really curious to see how more people react to this, you know, because this one is a brand new release. At the time that I'm recording this, there's actually only 80 ratings on Goodreads, and I think it has like a 3.6 out of 5 right now, which definitely checks out because I think this one's probably going to end up being somewhere around a 3-star for me. I think this was good. Like, it was entertaining enough for me to want to finish it within a day, but I also didn't love all of it. I thought the first half was a lot better than the second half, but I also do appreciate some of the conversations in this book about what it's like to be somebody who exists online and the kind of like vulnerability that comes with that. There was this one quote that I thought was really powerful when they said, the more famous you get, the more success you find, the more people think they own a piece of that, a piece of you, and they're going to be louder. It's going to come from every angle. But what do you think happens to them when you disappear completely? And she says, they get what they want. And he says, no, they get nothing. They just move on to the next book. They move on to the next author, the next movie, the next popular thing, because hating you and loving you is a fad that they will move on from. Every single person will move on from this experience but you. You're the one stuck in it forever because it's yours. It's your life. It's your name. It's your passion. And you need to control what you allow in, because what you allow in will control what you're able to put back out. And I thought that was really powerful, and in a way, I can relate and I can have sympathy for this character. I do understand to an extent like how much it can take a toll on your mental health when there are people talking about you online who don't actually know you. But I've got to say, I do think it's very, you know, like ballsy of Colleen Hoover to publish something like this, because even though she does ask readers, you know, like not to make any ties to her personal life with this story, it is wild how much of the story does seem to parallel some of the things that Colleen Hoover has been going through in the last year. Anyway, I am so glad to complete another book for the readathon. I have about 30 minutes before my movie night begins for People We Meet on Vacation, and then after that, I don't really know what my plans are for the rest of the night. I'm probably just gonna get a quick dinner, and then I'm probably gonna watch Supernatural with my mom. But if any more reading does happen today, then I will keep you updated. is now day 4 of Winterween. So last night ended up being a really great night. I actually had so much screen time last night because I watched a lot of things. Last night I did have the People We Meet on Vacation movie night with my Patreon, and I'm so glad that it went so well. Like, that movie was so cute. I mean, it did take me around like 45 minutes to really get like invested in the movie and like in the romance. But once I did, oh my gosh, the second half of the movie was so good. It was so amazing. And then right after that, I ended up DoorDashing a burger to the house because I wasn't in the mood to leave the house because it was very rainy last night. And so I had a burger, and then me and my mom ended up watching 2 more episodes of Supernatural. And the ones we watched of Supernatural last night were so good. I watched one of my favorite episodes in the entire series last night. One of the episodes we watched last night was season 3, episode 11. It was the one called Mystery Spot. Dude, if you know, you know, this episode was crazy. This one has a 9.5 out of 10 on IMDb, and I can definitely see why, because it was so intense. I swear that was also one of the episodes that I laughed the most in the entire series. So I had a really great time with Supernatural, and then while I was editing some of my Winterween vlog last night, I actually decided to finish watching the last 3 episodes of His and Hers, and that final episode was pretty crazy. Like, that was definitely my favorite episode in the entire show. I still think overall that the show is just okay for me. I think it's like a 7 out of 10. Like, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good, but I wasn't super impressed with it the way that I have been with other like thriller mini series lately, because just to compare it to some of my other favorites, like say Mare of Easttown or Task, I recently just watched Task, and like that one was so freaking good, like 10 out of 10. And so it's hard not to compare it to other things like that in my head, but like I thought His and Hers was good. I don't know if it's because maybe I just never really felt that connected to the characters, but I found some of the episodes to be pretty boring, to be honest. But that last episode was really good, and like I think it made the entire series worth watching. And then after I finished editing and I finished watching the show, I literally just curled up in bed and played that Nintendo Switch game on my Switch, the tiny bookshop game. I was playing it until almost 1 in the morning. It's just so cute. I can't get enough of that game. But anyway, right now it's about 10:45 in the morning. My dad just made these really great breakfast burritos this morning. Originally today, I was planning to like go out into the world and like go to a coffee shop today or something. But today the weather outside is just so shitty. Like, it is a very stormy, rainy day, and it's actually the last rainy day that we're supposed to have in a while, because the weather is showing that it's actually going to be sunny over these next couple of days. So I was like, maybe I should make the most out of this rainy day and just have like a cozy day in, you know, reading in bed. Like, I can make coffee here at the house. So I think I'm going to save the going out for later this week. And also because later tonight, me and my sister are going to be going to Chipotle together later. And you know, sadly, we don't have a Chipotle that's very close to us. Like, we have to travel like, you know, at least 20 to 25 minutes to go to our Chipotle. So I was like, because I'm going to be going out later tonight, I should probably have like a cozy day in. I wasn't sure what I wanted to read today, but I think the book Itch is the one that's calling to me. Like, I think I really need to read this today. So I think I'm going to make coffee here at the house, and I think I'm just going to curl up in bed and try to read most of Itch today. It's been a minute since I even looked at like what the blurb is even about. I just know it involves bugs somehow, because there's like little maggot bugs crawling out of her eyeball, and it's really gross. Otherwise, like, I don't really know what this book is about. So let's get into it, and let's get started with day 4 of Winterween.
Before it starts to feel, oh, I will burn it down, I will burn it down. This is not my home, I will burn you down. Oh, it's a long ride far from the top of the world, but it's finally over, finally over. I gotta last 1 minute just to get out alive, so I keep it together, thinking it's not forever.
Okay, hello. It's only about 12:30 in the afternoon, but I'm already checking in with an update because I'm about 115 pages into Itch, and unfortunately, I'm really not liking this, so much to the point where like, I think I'm just gonna DNF it. I don't really want to finish this one, and it sucks, you know, because the story actually started out pretty promising. Like, for the first chapter or 2, I was like, ooh, okay, like this is really interesting. We're following this girl named Josie, and right at the start of this book, she finds this body decaying in the woods, and when she calls the police, they're like, oh, can you check for a pulse? And she's like, no, like, you're not understanding me. The woman doesn't have eyes. And they're like, what? And she's like, the bugs like ate the woman's eyes. Like, she's not alive anymore. And it was like a really creepy, eerie opening chapter, and I just really loved it. But then right after that amazing opening scene, I feel like the story really started to drag. Like, oh my god, the pacing of this is just so slow. So much to the point that I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna download the audiobook from Libro to help me like push through it, which I did do. And now I'm only like 35% of the way through the audiobook, and I'm like, yeah, I do not care. I don't care enough to finish this. I'm so sorry. It's so boring. We just get so many pages that look like this, where you're just like really in the head of this main character. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are a few things that I'm liking about it. I love that Josie is a queer character, and I love that it says Josie is just scratching the surface of an age-old mystery, a predator who stalks the forest around Elwood, a place deeply gripped by folklore. I feel like this is one of those books that like, it sounds great in theory, but the execution of it is not my favorite. Like, I'm just really not vibing with the writing style at all. Maybe I should have actually realized that this wouldn't be my thing, because I have read a book from this author before, Gemma Amor. I read her horror novella that was called Dear Laura a few years ago, and I gave that book 1 star. So maybe I should have realized this author's writing style just really doesn't work for me, and that sucks. But I really wanted to give this one a shot anyway, because I am really obsessed with this book cover. Like, I know that's such a shallow reason to want to read a book, but like, it's so stunning. And the premise for this one sounded really promising, but unfortunately, it's a no from me. I do still have The Vampire Lestat by Anne Rice that I've been making my way through this week. I'm about 140 pages into this one now, because I really want to read a book that's about vampires this week, because that's kind of like the whole theme of this round of Winterween. But I'm also just like really not in the mood to read The Vampire Lestat. I feel like this is one of those books that you like really have to be in the mood for, because this is definitely like a slow burn kind of vampire story. I mean, you're just following this character who's a vampire over years and years of his life, and a lot of this book just has this very like historical feel, I guess, that I just really need to be in the mood for. So I think I'm going to be setting this one aside for now as well. I do have a few books lined up that I've been hoping to get to at some point soon, so I think I'm going to try a chapter of each one of these and see which one pulls me in. I have The Midnight Knock by John Fram, which I would have access to the audiobook through Spotify, I think, so I could check out this one. And then I also have Such Sheltered Lives. This one is a thriller arc. Oh my gosh, it's actually going on sale January 20th. This one actually might be calling my name, so maybe I'll give this one a shot. So it's about 2:30 in the afternoon, and I do have some reading updates. So I did try reading the first chapter of Such Sheltered Lives. I only got to page 12, but the first chapter of this was okay. It just wasn't really pulling me in. So I decided instead to read The Midnight Knock by John Fram, and I'm glad that I did, because this first chapter was insane. And now I'm already on page 110. I have been listening to the audiobook on Spotify for this. You know, John Fram is the author of The Brightlands, which is like one of my favorite horror books of all time. But then the last book that he came out with that was called No Road Home, I ended up DNFing that one. Like, I just didn't really care, so I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about this. And at about 100 pages in, I do have some mixed feelings about this, but I'm really loving the concept in this book. The blurb especially captured my attention on top, because it says for fans of Blake Crouch. And you know, Blake Crouch is one of my favorite like sci-fi thriller type of authors, so I was definitely intrigued by that. This one says a mind-bending locked room thriller about a group of strangers trapped in a remote Texas motel as they race against time to save their lives. I love any stories like this that take place in a motel, and especially like a locked room thriller type of thing where like there's a murder and they're all trying to solve the murder. In this story, we're following a huge cast of characters. One of the main characters that we're following is this guy Ethan and his boyfriend Hunter, and right at the start of this book, they are involved in this really big act of violence that's like, holy shit, that's insane, and they think the police are after them. We also follow these women named Kyla and Fernanda, and it says that they are fleeing for the border because they're running away from this dangerous man. We have this guy Stanley and his granddaughter who are returning from Mexico, and there's another man that's in pursuit of them. And so all of these characters are on the run from something when they discover this motel. It was actually really creepy the way that this person was warning them about this road that leads to the motel, because they said that road to the south, the Dust Road, they say there's a curse on it, and they say that the road gets hungry. And they said basically that this road leads to nothing. It says the road goes on and on until your car runs out of gas and the cold creeps in. The night falls fast out there. You wouldn't believe how dark it gets. And they said the only piece of salvation and the only thing you'll see out there is this little motel in the shadow of a big lonely mountain. The motel is abandoned, of course, but it would be a shelter. And it says the legend says that if you drive past the motel at twilight, just as the sun starts to sink behind the mountain, you can sometimes see the twins who run the place still going about their duties. So I love the way it's set up the eeriness of this motel, and I think it's so creepy. And so right at the start of this book, you're reading about all of these characters as they're going on this road. They're all running out of gas gas, they're getting stranded on the side of the road, and they discover this motel. And in the description of this book, it says somehow they're all connected to the motel's other guest, a woman named Sarah Powers. But then, within hours, Sarah is dead. And then the twins who run the motel, they end up telling all of the guests that her death demands justice. And they're basically asking all of the guests at this motel to help solve the case of her murder. It says if they don't uncover the killer by midnight, they will die when the protective lights around the motel go out. And they said because something very old and very dangerous lurks in the corner of this desert and it's hungry. Dude, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, the premise is so cool and so unique. So I am having a fun time with this book so far, even though I do think there are a lot of characters and like a lot of stories to keep track of. I thought the opening chapter was really good, but then it definitely took me a minute to get more invested in the story. But I am really starting to enjoy it now after being about 100 pages in. It's so crazy too, because when I got this book as an ARC actually last summer, I got an email from the publisher that said there was going to be like a huge twist around like 150-ish pages in. And at that time, they were asking influencers to like record their reaction to something that happens about 150 pages in. So I was like, what? It has me so intrigued to see like what's going to happen and what's going to be the big twist. I have it marked in the book so I know when to record my reaction because I want to see what all the hype is about. And I haven't really been seeing too many people talking about this book. So like I haven't heard if there's like a really good twist or like a really shocking moment. So I can't wait to be surprised. I'm going to be leaving in about like an hour or like an hour and a half to go and pick up my sister to go out to dinner tonight. So I'm just going to continue reading until then. And I'll definitely keep you updated about this crazy twist.
Oh, the thrill I finally surrender, waving my white flag, wanted it bad, always tried too hard, but now that's over, I can finally be me. There's no room over this ain't got no loyalties, no one to please. Been more than ever leave, setting my soul free.
Hello, it is many hours later at this point. It is after 10 o'clock at night, and I have had a really amazing night. I mean, as you saw, me and my sister, we ended up going to Chipotle. It was so good. I ended up getting some tacos, and then after, I wanted to go and stop by Bath and Body Works because I wanted to get a bunch of different soaps. They have a new soap there that's called the Book Loft, and like, oh my god, it smells so incredible. So I got 2 bottles of soap in that scent. I wanted to get one of the candles too, but I'm like, damn, those candles are so expensive. And then after, on the way home, we ended up getting blizzards because I really wanted to try the blizzard of the month. For the month of January, they have a blizzard that's like an Oreo blizzard, but it's mixed with cake batter and it has like marshmallow. It was really good, but it was a little bit sweet for me. I'm not the biggest fan of like marshmallow stuff, but I love cake batter. And so that was good. And then when I got home, I ended up watching 2 more episodes of Supernatural with my mom. Tonight we watched season 3, episodes 12 and 13. I thought episode 12 was so good. I gave that one a 9 out of 10 and I really loved it. But then episode 13 was this episode called Ghost Facers. It felt like such a random episode. Like it didn't even feel like it was a part of Supernatural. And I think that might have been one of my least favorite episodes in the show so far. We were actually skimming through a lot of the episode because I was like, what the fuck is this? I just didn't like how the episode wasn't really focused on Sam and Dean as much, and it was kind of focused on this like cast of side characters that I could not give 2 shits about. But anyway, at this point, we only have 3 episodes left of season 3 of Supernatural, so we're probably gonna finish watching it tomorrow night, and I can't wait because season 3 has been really good. And I also thought I would update you about The Midnight Knock because I've still been listening to this one on audio tonight. I just hit a part 3 of the book and I'm now about like 293 pages in. I only have this small chunk left. According to the audiobook, I'm 73% of the way through the audiobook. I'm kind of torn over how I'm feeling about this book because I do think the twist was really cool, but now I'm just feeling a little bit lost in this story, and the story's starting to feel very repetitive. It's funny because this story is actually reminding me a lot of a recent episode of Supernatural that I just watched not too recently. I'm just so torn over how I feel about this book because I do think concept-wise, it's really cool and really interesting and very unique. I don't often read about concepts like this in a horror novel, so I do love the vibes, but I guess I just feel like I'm not really connected to any of these characters, and this book just feels really endless at this point. The fact that I'm still only 70% of the way through the book, I just feel a little bit exhausted by the story, and I'm like, when is it gonna end? I mean, the fact that that this book is nearly 400 pages, like it just feels like it's a little bit long for what it is. But because I'm already 70% of the way in, I figured I might as well finish listening to this one tonight. I don't know, it's only 10 o'clock at night right now, so I think my plans for the rest of the night are to finish editing this reading vlog so I can get it up to YouTube by tomorrow. And then after that, I think I'm just gonna stay up late finishing listening to this one on audio and playing that game on my Switch, because I do want to finish it. I do want to see where it goes, but I'm just really not feeling that invested anymore, and I don't see myself giving this anything more than like 3 stars at this point. I don't know, and I hate to leave you hanging here at the end of this vlog without a full review of this book. So stay tuned for my last Winterween vlog so you can see my full thoughts on this one. My last Winterween vlog is going to include the last 3 days of the readathon, days 5, 6, and 7, and it should be up sometime this weekend, hopefully on Saturday or Sunday. So I will be seeing you soon with another Winterween vlog, but until then, do let me know, how has Winterween been going for you so far if you're participating? How many books have you read? Have you found any new favorites? Tell me everything down in the comments. Also, if you read any of the books that I read during this vlog, please let me know how you feel about them. And thank you so much for watching as always, and I'll see you soon with another Winterween vlog. Bye!